Hi everyone, I just wanted to record this quick little message here for you to kind of introduce myself as we move here into the second semester of physics. Some of you I've had before and some of you I have not. So some of you are coming to me as new students either for the first time to ILO or coming from a different teacher. So just to kind of recap, I want to go over a few things that I kind of make as general recommendations and also kind of how my schedule works a little bit as an ILO teacher. As you have probably noticed, if you've looked at the classwork at all, what I've done is I've set the class up to be as asynchronous as possible as far as scheduling goes. Because everybody's in different districts, I think at this point there are probably 6 or 7 different districts in just the physics class alone that I'm working with. That means everybody's got different schedules, everybody's got different days off, everybody's got different vacations, everybody's got different everything. And so while I try to work around that as much as possible, it's simply not possible to be a real hard nose about exact due dates on particular assignments just because of scheduling issues. And also because it gets to be really confusing for all of us. And so to help alleviate some of that, and because you guys are seniors and frankly you're adults enough to figure out when you need to work, I've set all the due dates for each unit to be at the end of the unit. That means all of your work is going to be due on that same day. And any of you who've had me before know that I mean that. So when I say, hey, it needs to be done by midnight on Friday, that is no joke. Like, it needs to be done. Unless there are some really outstanding circumstances, you need to be finished because I'm giving a very long period of time for you to work on it. These units are quite lengthy. Unlike first semester where things were broken down into a little bit smaller units, these units are quite lengthy, and as such, I've tried to give you as much time as I possibly can while allowing a little bit of wiggle room in our schedule before the end of the semester for things like spring break and Easter and stuff like that that I know comes up in the second semester. So I'm not going to have a lot of flexibility with due dates. So please keep that in mind. I won't be able to just like randomly give you another week on the work because I've literally given you just about as much time as I possibly can. In around about April, I've built in a buffer zone there because I know that's when a lot of people go on spring break. And so there's going to be a little flexibility when we get to that part of the year. But here in the early part of the semester, there's just really no wiggle room. So please keep that in mind as you're looking at your due dates. Also, just because something is due at the end of the month does not mean that's when it has to be turned in. Any of you who've had me before and worked under the system before know that it is by far to your advantage to turn everything in as early as you can and to work ahead as much as you can in order to allow space and time for when concepts get to be more difficult, when you need additional help, or when you want to be able to schedule a Zoom session to go over materials. This is going to be new material for all of you. It's also new material for me. We've recently changed the way that we're doing chemistry and physics. We're changing the courses quite a bit. And as such, we're all going to have to be a little bit generous with each other so that, it gives us all a chance to kind of figure out the new system, figure out what's going on, that type of thing. So please do not wait until the last week to start turning things in. That is the kiss of death in this class because the material does not get easier as you go along. It gets harder. And so you need to move everything more to the front of the unit to give yourself a buffer there on the end of the unit for that stuff that gets really, really tough or when scheduling conflicts come up or you get the flu or what have you. All kinds of things come up. So you want to give yourself a buffer at the end of the unit. It's way easier to work with that than it is to have, 25 assignments that are all needing to be completed in the last week. Don't do that to yourself. Also, as a teacher, if I get everything for the entire unit from everybody all at one time, that makes me really, really frustrated. And so you don't want the frustrated person grading your work because I'm going to try and give you as good a feedback as I possibly can, but it's just a bad scene. And anybody who's played the school game for any length of time, like you guys know, you don't really want to irritate the person grading your work. You want to give them the best opportunity to look at you favorably as you can. And so early is the key. And anybody who's worked with me before has figured that out. And over and over again, when we do reflections, people are like, I need to start earlier. I need to be more consistent. I need to work more towards the front of the unit. And that has just been people's comments over and over and over again. And you want to turn it in, even if you finish it early. And I had some people who did this last semester. They would finish the work, but they wouldn't turn it in. And the problem is, by not turning it in, you can't get the feedback about what you did wrong to then correct the succeeding assignments. So you want to turn things in as you go and as you complete them. So that way you're getting continuous feedback, because I try to grade every weekday, and I'll even grade on the weekends, especially around the time the units are coming due. I'll grade on Saturdays to try to give you guys this feedback as timely as possible. ILO has a policy of 48 hours worth of time on feedback. I try to do 24 as much as possible, unless your assignment falls through the cracks, which does happen. And if you don't hear feedback within a couple days, send me an email, because you may have forgotten to hit the submit button, which then means I don't get any notification it needs to be graded. Or you may have gotten lost in the extremely long list of assignments that I have come rolling in. And so I try not to do that, but it happens. So please email me, and then I can look at it individually. So over and over and over again, I keep hearing, I needed to work earlier, I need to work earlier, and I need to turn things in earlier. So please do that. It is in your best interest, starting right at the beginning of the semester, to do that, so that you're giving yourself the best opportunity to be as successful as humanly possible. These are all, like I said, these are extremely lengthy units, so you want to make sure that you're leaving plenty of time. As time goes, you're going to learn how much time you need for the class. I always suggest to people, for a long time I had a lot of people who thought, I should just be able to work during my class periods, and that's all I'm going to need to put in. The problem is, what they don't realize is, in the face-to-face classroom, you work during a class period, and then very often you go home and have another 20, 30, 40 minutes of homework, depending on the day. You need to expect to put in at least that much time here, even though we're not having necessarily the face-to-face every single day. Because of the number of assignments, because instead of having the teacher talk at you and give you notes, you're having to do lots of reading and take your own notes. That can be a lengthier process, and so you need to accommodate that. I typically recommend that people utilize their class time for asking questions specifically, or going through material, or arranging Zoom sessions with me, or working on problems with their classmates, which can be really helpful because you can bounce ideas off each other. So kind of reserve your class times for those types of activities, and then like all of the reading, note-taking, general stuff, the drudgery that you got to do to kind of get the base information. You want to do that stuff the night before, so that way you're coming to class with questions, with an idea of what you don't know, so that way, you can Zoom me or send me an email and get productive feedback as quickly as possible. So that's kind of how I recommend that people do it. I generally say, in addition to your class time during the week, you should plan on putting in 20 to 30 minutes per night on your assignments. Now, whether that's you do 20 or 30 minutes every single night, or whether you do, a couple, 3 longer sessions throughout the week, that's up to you. That's part of the reason I leave it flexible, because you know your schedules. Or if you want to move a lot of that to the weekend, although I don't recommend doing that for assignments, because if you get stuck, I don't have office hours on the weekends, and so you can be stuck for quite a while. And so I don't recommend that. But if you use the weekends for reading, for doing general question type things, not necessarily problem solving, that can be really helpful. Forum posts, that type of thing. So however you want to divide it up, I would say, in addition to class time, you should plan on at least 3 to 4 hours outside of class time during the week to get your assignments done and get them done well and without a panic at the end. Because you can always dial back at the end of the unit. It's really hard to hammer it down there in that last week and a half to try to get everything done and all at once. It's just really tough. So if you plan on the front end, then it'll be a lot easier on the back end. Also, please do not assume, you'll notice that Unit 1 was a lot of review. As you look through it, there's going to be a lot of review. There's also some new information. There's a lot of stuff you already know. There's some stuff that's new. Please do not use Unit 1 as the guide for what the rest of the units are going to look like, because the rest of the units are all going to be brand new information. So I would say however long you spend on Unit 1, plan to double that on the succeeding units, just because there's going to be new information presented. I gave you as much time as I did on Unit 1, in part because everybody starts school at a different time, things get rolling at a different time, there are enrollment issues, people come in late, there's the orientation materials you have to get through, so there's all this stuff here in the very beginning. So I wanted to be able to account for that and still also give you enough time because Unit 1 is very lengthy. But you're going to need to put in more time on the succeeding units. So please do not use Unit 1 as a guide for how much time you should put in. That would be really, that would not be good. One final comment on my office hours. Last semester, I traditionally had them in the afternoon, and my syllabus says that I do them in the afternoon. However, I noticed that I had some problems getting a lot of students being available during the times that I was available. And so what I've done is I've kind of jiggled my schedule around a little bit. As many of you know, I work for another school as well. And so I had to kind of move some things around a little bit. And so I'm going to try for a little while here to do morning office hours in addition to afternoon. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm going to try to do a 9:30 to 11:30. And I'm going to also put this in the information attached to this video. So we'll do a 9:30 to 11:30 Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday in the mornings. And then on Wednesdays, I'll still do a 1:30 to 3:30. We're going to try that and see how that works for people. Not just you guys, but all of my other students as well, to see how that goes and see if I can get more people engaged. If you don't have availability during those windows, that's fine. I know that some of you have, very full schedules and don't have a lot of flexibility with them either. If you need to meet outside those times, that's fine. Email me, and then we can work out a schedule. I'll need about 24 hours, though, to make sure that I get your email. We can correspond back and forth and arrange things. And we can meet outside of that time, whether it's, it's Tuesday and I need to meet with you on Tuesday in the afternoon, or, I need to meet quite a bit later in the evening. I try to accommodate as much as I can if I don't have other meetings. But I do also have family, so do keep that in mind that it does take some jiggling for me. So I need a 24-hour window in order to be able to work things out, to be available. So please don't hesitate to let me know if you need help outside of that time, but just give me a little bit of room there. Because, you don't want to email me at, 2 in the afternoon. Like, I need to talk to you this afternoon, and, because I'm probably working with another student at the time, and so I won't be able to get back to you. And it's not because I don't want to, it's just simply I've got a lot of other students, and so I'm trying to help them as well. So we're going to try that for a while. If it doesn't work, we can always go back to the way it was before, or we can try something new. I'm pretty flexible as far as that goes. I'm not super available on the weekends, which is part of the reason I'm not scheduled any weekend hours, because I do a lot of my errands on the weekends since I do work quite a bit during the week. And so we're going to try this for a little while, and then we'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, then we will do something else. But any feedback you can give me is very helpful, but do try to be specific. Also, when you do that create a plan assignment there in the orientation, please make sure that you are very specific. Telling me that you have class third period for physics isn't super helpful for me because I don't know when your third period starts. So please give me a time frame so that I have a general sense of when are most people available, if I need to contact you, when are your work times, so on and so forth, so that I have an idea. Also, if you're planning on putting in work in the evenings regularly, let me know. I plan on doing, 2-3 hour slots, or I'm going to do, half an hour every night. Let me know those things so that I know, okay, if I call you on a Tuesday, you've not had a chance to look at a lot of the material yet. But if I contact you on a Thursday, you should be ready to go. That type of thing. So it just helps me to be able to know what you're doing, since I'm, you have to communicate a lot more virtually just because there's a certain amount of isolation there. Please let me know via email, or you can come to the Zoom session if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, I look forward to working with all of you this semester, and I know it's going to be a great semester, and we're going to learn a lot and have a great time. Thanks a lot. You guys have a great day.